Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with a look at the DVD Heroes of World Class, the story of the Von Erichs. This is a really good documentary set. I picked this up, more than likely, I probably picked this up from GoHastings.com a few years ago. I looked around. You should be able to find a new copy of this for about $9.99. And I'll be honest, I've seen this go on sale for $5 before. And next time I see it go on sale for about $5, I'm gonna pick up a new one because my box is just a little bit beat up. One of the spots where the disc gets held, the disc isn't staying in there. So I'm gonna be looking forward to picking up a new one, and then that tells you how really good this is. Right off the bat, you see at the top of the DVD a quote from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, saying this is a must-see. And this is a inside scoop documentary from the Von Erichs themselves. This isn't the WWE version that came out with the, I believe it's called the Triumphs and Tragedies of World Class Championship Wrestling. This came out, I believe, 2 years before that. It came out before the Von Erichs. Kevin, the last remaining one, sold the rights to the World Class Championship Wrestling I guess you can say the film vault or the tapes or however you look at it. They made this before they handed it over, so it's not like a lot of wrestling documentaries where they have really bootleg footage or B footage of what they're talking about when they're talking about a certain match, like the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, or they're talking about the Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich cage match. With Michael P.S. Hayes in there as the special guest referee. They're actually showing that match as they're talking about it. So that's what makes this very special, and it makes it very cool. You've got all the, you've got the Freebirds there, you've got the Von Erichs. Right there you see Kamala, Bruiser Brody. You see Gino Hernandez, Jim Cornette. All of the names and all the people, even Gary Hart down there. The people that are a part of this, and they put this together really, really well. Right here, you'll see in the middle, this is Kevin Von Erich going to the Sportatorium before they tore it down, and he's actually touring around, showing you the offices, showing you the locker room, showing you where the ring, showing you where the seats and where the fans were, and everything like that. They walk by and they look at the not the cafeteria, but the the place where they sold hot dogs and popcorn. And he talked about, this is the place where I first got into the wrestling business, and he's in a corner over where the doors were, and he said, I used to sell cotton candy right here as a kid. But open this up. This is what they look like. Heroes of World Class, the story of the Von Erichs, the rise and fall of World Class Championship Wrestling. And over here you see disc 2 with the story of the Von Erichs. But pretty cool that they were able to make this. I think that definitely is sort of a different story on World Class Championship Wrestling, told by the Von Erichs themselves. And you can definitely see a lot of changes in the way that they put themselves over and the way that WWE puts themselves over. But the best documentary of a wrestling promotion ever made. Eric Cohen of About.com. Lots of words right there for you. I'm sure if you hit pause, you can read all those and check that out. And here's some more. On this DVD, you're going to see Kevin Atkinson, Akabar, Mickey Grant, Gary Hart, Mark Lawrence, John Mantell, David Manning, and Bill Mercer. And they did a really, really good job here. Lots of deleted scenes. And footage that you're probably never going to get anywhere else. So I think this is a must for any DVD collector. Heroes of World Class. You'll be able to pick this up for about $10, or if you want to hold out, I'm sure you can find this for about $5. And also, if you still have it where they send you DVDs in the mail from Netflix, they have it on there. That was the first place that I ever saw it. Was I had them ship out the DVD and watched it that way, and my mind was blown. Crazy. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. I have a review on the Heroes of World Class Director's Cut DVD. This is a really, really awesome DVD. There's the WWE version of the history of World Class. This came out a few years before that. This wasn't produced by the Von Erichs themselves. It's obviously by a wrestling documentary company, but the Von Erichs owned all of the footage from World Class Championship Wrestling. A lot of times when you get like the ECW documentary, Barbed Wire City is what I think it was called. You watch that documentary, you don't really get any footage on it because WWE owns all of the ECW footage. You just get like the generic B-roll, lots of videos of just guys talking. This is every bit as good as the WWE version, if not better. There's tons of stories on here about the life and times of all of the Von Erichs. They don't really cookie cutter over things. One of the things that I really figured out about World Class Championship Wrestling from watching the Heroes of World Class was that basically World Class Championship Wrestling got rolling before, Vince McMahon took over the WWF and really got it to the point where WrestleMania was becoming the big time craze. I always thought, from being a WWE fan and from watching a lot of the WWE documentaries, and even reading WWE books, was that Vince, was sort of coming up, and because Vince was coming up, all of the territories around the country, even though Vince was taking stars like crazy, basically I thought it was because the wrestling was booming. Sort of like, during the Attitude Era, when Raw and Nitro were on fire, and no matter what they put on television, people were watching and fans were going like crazy. The independent scene around the country, even though they didn't have guys from WWE or WCW wrestling on them, people were going to indie shows just because they couldn't get enough wrestling. That's what I thought was going on. But when World Class Championship Wrestling was at its peak, when it was booming, when it should have been, setting out into the United States to try and push into other markets such as like Vegas or California, or even trying to go on an East Coast tour, trying to get more people experience to the product, they didn't, because of the fact that the dad, Fritz Von Erich, was basically set in the old ways, basically didn't want to expand because he was sort of, brought into the wrestling business as, this is your territory, this is what you run, you don't go anywhere else, you don't basically go into anybody else's backyard and try to take food out of their mouth. Because, the World Class Championship Wrestling was a part of the NWA at the time, and, as a part of the NWA, that is when you had, your big-time draws that would float around the country, such as, like, Ric Flair. If you weren't a part of the NWA, you weren't getting Flair. And even though they had the Von Erichs, even though they had the Fabulous Freebirds and a lot of other people that came through their territory, you needed Flair to draw. But, World Class Championship Wrestling is a place that really, made a whole lot of stars. They housed a lot of stars. Because of the fact, a lot like with WCW, basically World Class Championship Wrestling benefited for the fact that, they got on a channel that was held on cable, and through the use of satellite and cable, reaching all around the country, they were reaching homes of people that didn't even live in the area of where they were, housing their shows, that were dying desperately to see more and more of these guys, because I think they revolutionized the game a lot. When they brought in the Von Erichs, it was a lot of fresh blood. It wasn't the same old guys that you would see wrestling on every other channel. They brought a little bit of the rock and roll scene, which is always acquired to Vince McMahon. When the Freebirds would come in, they'd come down to the ring to a Leonard Skinner song, like Freebird, or they would, at the peak of the Freebirds, they would have their own music that they would come out to, Bad Street USA. This is a really, really good story. And like I say, a lot of the words you get right out of the mouth of Kevin Von Erich. And Kevin Von Erich, he tells stories that you don't see on the WWE DVD. Obviously, with the Von Erichs, we got put into the Hall of Fame. WWE didn't want to put them in a bad light, but Kevin Von Erich tells a story on this DVD about once all of his brothers had passed away, basically Fritz pulled the gun on him. This is his last remaining son. It was the same gun that actually Kerry Von Erich used to commit suicide on his ranch. It was the same pistol. Fritz pulled it, and he said, "You know what? The only reason why you haven't used this gun to commit suicide is because you're scared and you're chicken. And, you know, he was pleading with his dad, basically, that, you know, he didn't want to die. He didn't want to kill himself. He wanted to keep on living. He liked the life that he had. And it was almost like Fritz was pushed to the edge of he wanted his sons to die. It was almost like he believed in the curse of the Von Erichs, that, you know, something was bad to happen, and maybe he wanted to outlive all of his sons. Maybe he felt, you know, guilty for, you know, all the tragedies that had happened in his life. Fritz Von Erich lost his firstborn son, I believe at 6 months, drowning in a puddle of water after being electrocuted. And of course, you know, I can never remember all the Von Erichs' names. The one of them, I'm going to mess all the names up. The one died going over to Japan. He had an accident over there. Some people say it's drug-related. Some people say it was just him getting sick. The other one died after committing suicide, after coming down with toxic shock syndrome. And he came back from his injury too fast. He wore his body out, and he just gave up. Kerry Von Erich basically was going through a hard time in his life. He was going through a divorce. He was losing his kids. He had just got fired from WWF. He had just got arrested on drug charges yet again, and he was probably going to be going to jail. And just, I guess, thought it was too much and just ended his career. And as well as the youngest son, who he just never really grew into the Von Erich body, if that makes sense. He never was as big, he never was as fast, he never was as strong as the older brothers. And, you know, he tried to get into the wrestling. He really wanted to get into wrestling. He loved wrestling, but he just wasn't able to do it. You know, he tried being a referee, tried being a ring announcer, tried being used in some tag team matches, you know, with the Von Erich's name and things like that. But he committed suicide as well. So, a sad story. I mean, but this, your Heroes of World Class, my DVD is a little bit battered and bruised and beaten. I'd like to get another one of these. I got this off of Go Hastings years ago. I believe I paid about $10 for it. It's still about $10 now. I've seen it on High Spots on their sale. I've seen this go for $5 before. Next time it's on $5, honestly, I'm going to get another one. My inside, the snaps broke on my disc too, but you know, the story of the Von Erichs is disc number 1, and then on the next disc is a lot of bonus matches and features and things like that, which knocks it right out of the park. It's really, really awesome. If you look at the cover of this DVD, you see Kevin Von Erich going to the Sportatorium, where most of World Class Championship Wrestling had their television tapings and their big shows. Of course, they would have shows at Cowboy Stadium. They would have shows at there was another stadium that was there that was kind of big. I think it was where the Houston Rockets played. I don't think it was the Summit. Maybe it was the Summit, but it was something like that. But you know, this is the place that they had their shows 9 out of 10 times. This is the place that Stone Cold Steve Austin used to go as a college kid and watch professional wrestling. It's where Stone Cold Steve Austin learned to take his first bump. A highlight, I believe it's Saturday, we're going to be going to the Sportatorium site. Of course, it has been torn down. I believe it was torn down in 2000 or 2002, somewhere around there. The building had a fire. No one was using it, and you know, they just decided that it was time to take everything down, and that's what it is now. It's just basically an open grassy field. But before it was torn down, you know, they got access to it, and we got a little bit of a tour of what the offices looked like, what the dressing rooms looked like, where the ring was, where the bleachers were. Shows us where the concession stand was. Showed us where he got in the world of professional wrestling, selling cotton candy as a kid. Lots of fun things going on right here. This is a great DVD. I honestly think that you should really check this out. You're not going to get this on the WWE Network. I don't think you're going to get it any other way. The first time I ever saw this was through Netflix, but not on Netflix as we know it today, where it's like on your PS3 or on your phone or your Apple TV or anything like that. Actually, where they shipped out the DVDs is where I saw this for the first time. And I didn't know anything about World Class Championship Wrestling. Honestly, all I ever really knew about was Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado from the WWF. And I got this, and the first time I watched this, it honestly brought a tear to my eyes about the story of everything that Von Erichs went through. And you can tell by looking at the DVD cover how many stars you were. You got Kamala, you got Harley Race, Bruiser Brody, you got Gino Hernandez, I thought Jerry the King Lawler was on here. You got Gary Hart. Tons of things. Tons of guys worked at this place. Really, really good DVD. Honestly, they say check this out. It's probably out of wrestling documentaries. It's not going to have the flash. It's not going to have the flair. It's not going to... It doesn't have Stone Cold Steve Austin. It doesn't have Ric Flair. It might not have those names that you see on the WWE DVDs these days. But I guarantee you, this will probably be one of the best wrestling documentaries that you've ever seen. Go out of your way. Check this out. Peace out, everybody. See you guys down the road.